everybody. My name's Cole Rush. I'm the host of Press Start, HollywoodChicago.com's video game podcast. I'm here with Adam Fendelman, founder of HollywoodChicago.com. Adam, how are you doing today?
Great. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We're here at level 257 in Schaumburg, Illinois, with two extremely special guests. We are very excited about this today. We have Hitoshi Yoshida, the president and CEO of Namco USA.
Just go with TJ.
TJ, okay. We'll ask you about that in a second. And we're here with David Bishop, the executive vice president of Namco USA. Gentlemen, thank you so much for having us today.
Thanks for coming out, guys.
We appreciate it. We love the venue. Adam's been here a few times. Yeah. This is my first time, but I'm already in love with it. I can't wait to come back, enjoy the whole venue a little bit. So why don't you guys tell us just a little bit about Level 257 and what it's all about?
It's all about probably David can explain a little bit better than myself.
Oh, you're going to do it. Yeah. Okay. So Level 257 for us is a take on how we see the evolution of out-of-home entertainment. So we grew up really in the arcade business, and so our charter here for North America is entertaining people once they get out of the home. So we looked around at our business and how it's evolved over the last couple of decades. This is about 5 years ago. It really started with when TJ first came here to the U.S. 5 years ago, and we started looking at the business, saying, what do we want to be when we grow up? What do we think out-of-home entertainment is all about? And we knew that it was time to go a more sophisticated direction. It was more about doing something for a more mature audience. I've been playing games my whole life. I love playing games. I still play every day. I was playing my Xbox One last night. But at the same time, I love having a great bottle of wine or a great meal, or I like to play with some craft beers. And so I think we've all just wanted to reflect that in our entertainment. We wanted to have a place that we could come and hang out ourselves and have a great meal, but at the same time still go play a few games and hang out with friends.
Yeah, because when I come here, I feel like I can be a kid, but I can be a grown-up.
Yeah, and that's great. That's exactly what we were looking for. Yeah.
Why we decided to create a Level 257 is purely because business purpose. 5 years ago, our business was all focused on the arcade, the game business. But as you may know, the arcade business is shrinking down. So we discussed what we need to do is we need to diversify our business portfolio. Not only doing the video game, the arcade game, but we should have our own destination venue so that we can control our business. And then we discussed how we should differentiate ourselves from the others. One of the things is we have strongest intellectual property in the United States. That's PAC-MAN. I spent 4.5 years in California when I was a chief financial officer of Bandai Namco Holding USA. At that time, I go to a golf club, the country club, by myself, and 3 American guys joined me, and we played together. And they always asked me, what company are you with? What do you do? And I said, Bandai Namco. They didn't know. But instead I said, Power Ranger and Pac-Man.
So
everybody knows Power Ranger and Pac-Man. Yeah. And also, when I come in to the United States and go through the immigration office, they ask me, what do you do? Why are you here? Or what are you going to do? So I said, I work for Pac-Man. He said, all of a sudden, the immigration officer put the big, smile on his face, and he said, come on in, welcome back. So I talked with David. Probably, David, we should use Pac-Man, because it's the strongest intellectual property that we have, and then we can do business around Pac-Man. But instead of doing the game business only, we can do something different. Entertainment is an endless, world. So that's why we started.
And obviously, we all know about Pac-Man and Level 256, but this is called Level 257 because
because. So it was basically a lot of things we built into this. We wanted to make it a lot of very subtle nods to Pac-Man. So obviously we're really proud of our heritage. We're really proud of Pac-Man himself, but we didn't want to hit people over the head with it. So it's if you get it, it's great. If you don't get it, that's fine too. I just want you to have a good time. But 257 is really a nod to the fact that at level 256 is where the overflow error exists, and you really cannot complete level 256. So for us, level 257 is the next level of entertainment.
Excellent. Now, you guys mentioned how strong the brand of Pac-Man is. Where do you see the influence of Pac-Man in modern gaming?
Oh my gosh, that's a great question. I mean, it exists in so many different ways. Because in a lot of ways, so you have to go back, if you think back to 1981, I remember when Pac-Man just exploded onto the scene. And it really made gaming a mass market phenomenon. It really did. I mean, before that, it was very, young male testosterone driven, and it was spaceships shooting other spaceships or rocks or walls or tanks shooting tanks, and this was the first one that was just really bizarre, and they weren't shooting anything, and it was some type of being that was just running around a maze. And so it changed the way that I think the public views gaming. It really did. That was the first thing it did. And if you go back and look at the way that the levels were designed and the way that each ghost applied its own personality, I mean, we suddenly started seeing a real storyline being developed into the games. In a lot of ways, it almost kind of, I told somebody the other day, it seems to me like it almost was the beginning of I could see the roots of MMOs in it, in that it's a single player game, but because each ghost has his own personality, it's you against other distinct personalities. And so you could see it's like the beginning of a first multiplayer game. And there's a zillion things you could talk about with the way Pac-Man changed the way that the gaming business works. Today, I think a lot of what we do owes I'm biased, but I think a lot of what we do really owes a credit back to Pac-Man and those early days of Namco. Namco was a really prolific designer back in the late 70s and early 80s.
Yeah, and there have been so many people who've emulated concepts from it, have copied things, have kind of done their own things, but it definitely was a trailblazer.
Yeah, no, it inspired a lot of copies, yeah.
Yes. That's a good thing. You're doing something right when people want to copy you.
Yeah, well, take it as a compliment, yeah.
Excellent. Now, we're curious, for somebody coming in to level 257 for the first time, maybe they're a gamer, maybe they're a non-gamer, what's the best way for them to get the full experience and to enjoy and get the most out of it?
Aside from just spending the most money they can.
Do that too.
It's great. I mean, it's not about spending the money, though. I think you could have a lot of, the point is, and we really, everything we did over the years when we were sitting down and talking about what we were trying to accomplish, we kept one consistent theme, which was we're here to be social grease. We're here to help people socialize, to have a good time out of the home. And so everything we designed is really meant to reinforce that. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to spend a ton of money. I mean, I'm happy for you to spend money, that's great. But I think if you come in and you can bowl, and it's not that expensive to bowl, or you can play games. We tried to make the gaming very approachable, very intuitive. The way we designed it, we said, gamers know it's fun playing games. I know it's fun playing games. But there's a lot of people, particularly as you get older, you get 30, 40 years old, maybe you don't have time to play games anymore and you kind of forget how cool it is to play a great game. And so we really wanted to go back and reintroduce gaming to maybe some of those players, particularly as you get a little bit older and forget about it. So we had a lot of conversations early on about how do we get people to play games again that haven't played in 10 years or 20 years? How do you do that? And so we designed it to do that. And basically, because everything's on time play, we threw out the whole price per play model. That was intentionally done, not because it would maximize our sales. It's not. We could make a lot more money if we charged you, $1 for this game, $1.50 for that game. That would make a lot more money. The time-based model is really cool though, because it takes away that whole issue. I don't want to play Star Wars because it costs $3 and I'm afraid I'm going to waste my money. We threw that out. So you can come in and you can play any game you want as long as your time is active. If you want to play 1979 Lunar Lander, which I love, which is really hard. If you haven't played it again, I forgot how hard it was. You can play it. If you want to start up with Star Wars Battle Pod, play it. Doesn't matter. I mean, they're all the same. It's just you start up anything you want. That was designed to get people playing games again. So I'm happy for everyone to spend money, but we're trying to make it approachable as well.
Because here, when you do unlimited play and you make it so all the prices are the same for all the games.
Yeah, it's just you can start anything as long as your card's active.
But I notice if I go play something like at Dave & Buster's and it's not time-based play and it's credit-based play, I'll notice like some things are like 20 credits and I'm like, I only have 50 credits left. Do I really want to play that? Or so it does affect how I play my games.
It does. I mean, and there's a lot of guys out there do a lot of different models, but the traditional model still is per play pricing. So it's like we'll put this game in and I grew up in that business. I mean, I'll be honest. And we spent a lot of time on that side of the business saying, okay, how do I maximize my return on investment? How do I put this much, it cost me this much to buy the game. Star Wars Battle Pod is not the cheapest game out there. I've got this big investment in it. How do I maximize my return? And that's what happens from a business standpoint when you start talking about the per play pricing and all the money you have to put into it. We came at Level 257 a completely different angle, and we knew we were breaking a lot of rules. We had a lot of conversations about this, but we really stepped back and said, it's not as important to me that this one particular game has the maximum earnings, and it's more important to me that the overall facility achieves its results, right? And the people have a great experience. And it's really about the overall facility, not just this one particular game. And we know Star Wars Battle Pod is going to do great because it's a great game and it's new. And the game that's 30 years old may not make as much money on our per play pricing. What we're finding with the way we've done it is people are a lot more open to playing games they wouldn't normally play. The differences in play levels are a lot better. I mean, they're a lot narrower. So we don't have the big disparities. In a traditional arcade, you'll see these games at the top, and it goes down really quickly. And what we're seeing now is people are saying, "Wow, that game's busy. I'm going to play this. It's cool." And they're just a lot more open to playing things, and that's exactly what we wanted because it's so cool. People are just having a good time playing. So obviously, we wanted to introduce people to doing things they don't normally do. We really wanted people to come in and have a great experience with food and beverage as well. That's, to us, the key to repeat business and building a real relationship with our guests. And if we're going to work with an older audience, we had a lot of conversations early on that's the area we can't mess up, that we've got to do just a fabulous job on food and beverage. And so, yeah, if you want to have a great experience, I'd tell you to start there. Come in, and the original idea was, come in, hey, try a different craft beer you haven't had before. It's an adventure. Try a bottle of wine. Try a different food you haven't had before. And then, after you've had a great meal, go play a game. Go bowl.
Yeah, it's about, at the home entertainment versus out of home entertainment. We are doing out of home entertainment. Well, what we can do, out of home entertainment can do, then at the home entertainment cannot do.
Right.
That's a socialization. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can meet with the people and have fun and eating, drinking, playing game. That's what that's what the out of home entertainment can do. Right? So that's a whole concept.
Right.
Yeah, it's a destination, much like Level 256 in Pac-Man, which I think kind of comes back to the name. It's a really wonderful parallel that you guys have built here. Now, Mr. Yoshida, can you speak a little bit to some customer reactions? How did they like it? What did they tell you about their experience here?
Well, feedback is great. Everybody gets so excited, and it feels good, and they come back again, and that's exactly what we expected. So we are very happy. Their feedback.
Excellent. Yeah. Adam, do you have anything to ask?
Yeah, so we have an entertainment venue here, but Namco also makes games, and you guys are making new games, and you're always making new games. And so how are you tying new games into Level 257, and you're using this as a launch pad?
Yeah, a great question, and it's pretty obvious when you walk through the space, kind of what's happening if you go through and look. I mean, obviously we love vintage games. I mean, part of the whole concept is reintroducing people to games they haven't maybe played in a while, or just kind of reintroducing those old games, and the old vintage games have been restored to really like new conditions. So we've got games from 1979, 1980, and they look like they just came out of the box. And we've spent a lot of time on that. But at the other end of the spectrum, once you get in and try that, then obviously we want to introduce you to some of the new games. So it's okay, now that you're playing, try this. Try Mario Kart, because it's an awesome social game, and we can play together, and you get 4 people on that thing, and you're out here screaming, and it's a riot. You guys know. Same thing with some of the other games. So a lot of our new games are back there. Mario Kart, Star Wars Battle Pod, Dark Escape, Alpine Racer, we just, a lot of our new stuff, we're bringing it through here, and we want to use it as a showcase. So if we get you in with the old games, we want you to try out some of the new stuff too.
Yeah, our sister company, Bandai Namco Amusement, they create the great games, and this will be a showcase, display case.
Yeah. Now, what is each of your go-to game?
Go-to game.
You come in, what's the first game you want to play every day?
I would play Star Wars, maybe.
Which one?
The Battle Pod?
Yeah, Battle Pod.
That's a great experience. Star Wars Battle Pod is an awesome experience. That hemispherical screen is just such a cool display.
It's immersive.
It is. It's really immersive, and I think it's a great game. I'm a little more old school, so as often as not, I will play Tempest or Lunar Lander, and I'd forgotten. I mean, we went looking specifically for Lunar Lander because I remember it when I first got in the arcade business, and I'll play. I forgot how hard it was. It's a really hard game, but we'll play that, or I'll play something a lot of fun. We've got Time Crisis 5 here. I spent a lot of time on Time Crisis 5 the last few weeks. My legs get really tired really quick, but I go back and forth between classics and the new ones.
Do you know a story about the Gundam Pod? Gundam Pod.
No.
Was it 7-8 years ago?
Oh, well, the original thing was the orbs concept they did in Japan.
They're using
doing the Gundam.
Gundam.
You guys know Gundam, right? I mean, the Gundam is probably our number one intellectual property. It's just not well known here in the U.S.
Right, it's an Eastern.
Yeah,
known well in Japan.
Right, it's a very Japanese, Japanese.
One single IP intellectual property creates and make $850 million. Yeah,
it's the best part of $1 billion.
Biggest part of
I didn't know numbers went that high.
Yeah, my calculator runs out at that.
7 or 8 years ago, our sister company developed this first Gundam Pod.
Right. And it was the Star Wars Battle Pod cabinet with the hemispherical screen.
Star Wars is actually third generation. Second generation is Mach Storm.
Right. Gundam was first, and then we did Mach Storm, which is the air combat, in the same cabinet we have sitting out here, and then Star Wars Battle Pod is the
third generation. Right. And the first generation, the Gundam Pod, it was so big hit in Japan. And gamers, for instance, they sold their cars to get the money so that they can play Gundam Pod.
It was really
one of the guys spent $40,000. That's 4 million Japanese yen to get the highest score. They sold their car.
Wow.
That wasn't to buy a game. You're saying just to spend money.
There was money to play. It was so intense because basically in Japan they've got this really great network. So everything's fiber in Japan. They actually built their internet infrastructure after we did in America, so it's much more advanced. It's not a lot of old copper. So their bandwidth is much higher in Japan. So in Japan, you can play Gundam Pods against other arcades. So you don't have to be sitting there. You have 4 linked up, or up to 16, I think, or 32, whatever it is. You can have as many pods you want linked up. They're super expensive, though. But you don't have to play in this one site. You can play against, Osaka can play against a person in Tokyo. And it's really intense. So it became a very competitive game. And it's grown. It's still out there. It's still, there's for a while, everybody had them.
Can you find it in the States at all? Or?
No.
That's what I figured. I was like, the Gundam IP rings a bell, but I've never ever seen it.
We actually sell them model kits downstairs.
That's
We
it.
sell a ton of model kits, and we wanted to bring those kits. I mean, we actually sell a lot of Gundam kits. They're hard to find in the U.S. Basically, Japanese toy stores will carry them. There's some parallel imports of it, but we've got legitimate, Gundam kits downstairs, and it's a lot of fun. That's a big part of our business in Japan, but it's never really come over here. And for a long time, I wanted to bring Gundam Pod over, and we couldn't work out all the details to do it. It has to be localized, and it just.
But we're going to start a Gundam the animation in 2017.
2017.
But the Gundam itself, it's a very difficult storyline, because in the United States, right? The good guy wear red suits, the bad guy wear black suits, and always at the end of the movie or at the end of the show, good guy wins, right?
Mm-hmm. You saying Americans are very simple and straightforward.
I'm not disagreeing.
And
Good guys always
at the end of the show, you feel good, right? So that's American, right?
Of course.
But the Gundam is different.
Oh my.
Because sometimes they focus on one side, sometimes they focus on the other side. So
it's not necessarily good or bad.
Yeah, you don't know which one is good and bad. It's not the matter.
It doesn't follow a common formula.
Yeah, it's a very complex space opera. It's been going on for years. It's actually, I think, a year older than Pac-Man, isn't it?
It's actually
so it dates back forever.
Oh, wow.
It's a very strong IP in Japan. Everybody grew up with it.
Yeah.
There's movies, TV shows, manga, tons of toys, model kits. It's a big deal. So it'd be interesting to kind of bring that more to the U.S., but we haven't done it at this point. So
at my roots, I'm a Miss Pac-Man guy. I used to go to a nearby bowling alley after work all the time, and there was a Miss Pac-Man machine. I would put 1 quarter in, and I would play for half an hour, and then an hour, and then I started playing for 5 hours.
wow, you're really good.
And then I bought a machine. I have it in my basement. I program my own mazes. No one in the world has my mazes. They're harder.
Wow.
I wanted to bring it here. I wanted Billy Mitchell to play it because he's used to playing on machines. He knows. He wouldn't play on my machine, right?
Billy's not much of a Miss Pac-Man player anyway. So
Right. He's more of a Pac-Man player.
Well, I'm curious, David, you and I were talking off mic a little bit beforehand about old games and just how much they've influenced the modern gaming community. And, I think one big aspect of older games is how difficult they were. You put in that quarter, and if you're not an experienced player, you can lose really fast. Do you ever see players come in and just destroy on these games?
Or are they more casual players?
At level 257, it was intentionally. It was kind of designed for a casual audience.
Right. So
we have absolutely. I mean, so it's not that we don't have hardcore players in. We've had a lot of hardcore people come in, and and that's great. I'm excited by that because they love these games and they recognize that, oh my God, you guys have this game and it's restored. I remember this. This is great. They appreciate the fact that we've restored the games. The casual players, though, I mean, the fun thing about being a casual player and kind of rediscovering all these old classic games, or vintage games, as our marketing people call them, is that it's not that hard to understand. I mean, you're probably not going to last more than a couple of levels unless you really know what you're doing. But it's a very straightforward process that you're playing, and you know exactly what you're getting into, and it follows that very standard formula, very easy to understand, hard to master, but you can pick it up really, really quick. And so I don't see people destroying it a lot, but we've had a few record holders. Chicago's got a vibrant record holder community here, and I know a few, I'm friends with a few, and they come in and I can see them tear up some games. Yeah, absolutely. And it's fun.
When we were here a couple of weeks ago, we were playing a little bit with Triforce. And
that was actually Triforce's first visit here. Was for the party. Yeah.
And he was showing us what it looks like to play Tetris as a professional. On his little 3DS, and I've never seen anyone play like that.
Triforce, Billy Mitchell. I mean, I love these guys. They're a lot of fun. I've gotten to be friends with a lot of them over particularly really the last 5 years, and they're fun. I mean, they do it out of the love. I mean, they're really good at what they do, but they really love the games. I love talking to people that are passionate about play, and they are. And those guys are a lot of fun. They really are.
You ever seen The King of Kong?
I have. I have seen it, and I've talked to Billy about it a few times, and
Very David Goliath story.
Yeah, and he still claims to this day he's never seen the movie. Yeah, so you have to talk to Billy about that.
That's the same thing Woody Allen says.
Yeah,
he says he never watches his movies.
Yeah, he swears he hasn't seen it. I'll take him at his word on that. But they painted a picture with that, and they were very effective at it. And Billy, I think, relishes kind of playing the role of the bad guy sometimes. He enjoys that, but he's actually a really great guy. I think a lot of people misunderstand Billy Mitchell. I think he's a great guy.
What I did notice from him and some of the gamers, when we were here for Pac-Man's 35th, all of those guys were very serious about teaching people.
Yeah.
So they knew that there were a lot of casual players here who don't know, because Billy memorizes the mazes. Most humans don't do that, and he was very cool about showing people tricks, and it's not like competitive.
Right.
He was cool, like, let me show you something, and he was very mentoring to kind of anyone like that.
And for us, that's kind of the cool part of 257. That was always what was there on its surface. I mean, if you come into level 257 and just have a great meal and that a really cool new beer that we picked up, and that's great. And you talk about the next day and say how good it was. We're really happy with that. But if you want to lift up the hood and look underneath and pull out your geek cred and say, hey, I met Billy Mitchell, or I got to do this, or I saw this cool game, or I got to meet the president of Namco USA there, and it's kind of cool, and that's there, so that's there too. So we've got both ends of the spectrum. You can just come in and enjoy the experience, or you can look around and get a little geeky with it too, and that's fun.
It kind of reminds me, like, from Wizard of Oz, like kind of going behind the curtain and meeting the wizard kind of thing.
It's the wizard.
Yeah, exactly.
TJ the Wizard. All right, well, we're going to take a very quick break. We'll be right back with Hitoshi Yoshida and David Bishop. All right, and we are back with David Bishop and Hitoshi Yoshida. Now, Mr. Yoshida, you asked me to call you TJ when we first met. Can you explain where that comes from?
It's a long story, but a long time ago, like back in 1981, 2, I think.
I was alive then. He wasn't.
I graduated from a university.
Making him feel old.
And I started working with the French guy, the Hans Haberman, French guy. He called me Toshi instead of Hitoshi. He called me Toshi because French people don't pronunciate H. Like instead of history, they say history.
Right. Yeah.
So he didn't pronounce it H, so he called me Toshi. So a long time I was called Toshi, right? Then after that, somebody started calling me J. For some reason, I don't know.
I'm looking at your name here.
J.
It doesn't look like I can find any J's.
No J. And that era is gone. So somebody asked me, how should I call you? And I explained to him the story. It used to be Toshi. One time I was J, but I don't know. You call me anything. So he said, what about TJ? Toshi and J, combined together, TJ. So since then, I've been called TJ.
So your name kept getting shorter.
Yeah, so it's just going to be.
So I don't want to explain all the stories. So I said, Tokyo, Japan.
Hey, that's fair. Now, can you guys, as long as we're on the topic of history a little bit, can you tell us where you guys came from and how you came to be with Namco, what you guys have done with the company?
Oh, okay. First, meet myself.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to be in energy / finance industry. Nothing to do with game. Nothing to do with entertainment. And after that, I joined G Capital. And then one day, one guy came to me and he said, Mr. Yoshida, are you interested in working for a toy company? And he said, no way. I'm an energy guy. I'm a finance guy. But he said, why don't you meet with this president? And he is used to be a banker, but he's now the president of Bandai Limited. So one day I had a lunch with this president, and I got so inspired. And then and he said, Yoshida-san, why don't you go to a toy store and look how people do? So one day I went to a toy store and I saw the little boy holding a Bandai toy and smiling, having a big smile on his face. And more importantly, his parents were having big smiles on their faces. They looked so happy. It changed my life. I was so blown away by the fact that it is the final product of the business. If you do all the financing, money investment, things like that, you don't see the final result of your business. And I got so blown away. And then I decided to join Bandai. Then I did some of the merger and acquisition in Bandai Limited. And the biggest one is the Bandai Namco integration. I was working on Bandai side. Then I joined Bandai Namco holding company because we created the Bandai Namco holding company. And then I was transferred to US to create Bandai Namco Holding USA. And I served as a chief financial officer for 4.5 years. Then went back to Tokyo. And one day I was told, Yoshida-san, could you go to Chicago to manage Namco Limited US? So that's why I joined Namco USA. So I'm not a game guy. I was a finance and energy guy, but I'm so happy. I'm so happy being in this industry because you can see the smile and dream, of our final business products.
Very cool story. Yeah. How you've kind of, obviously you're a business guy, but you're a business guy who's gone in many different directions within business. Yeah.
But I have a big, strong, big left brains, and this guy has a big right brains. So it's a great combination, perfect combination.
He's the smart one. I'm the wacky one. Yeah.
He has a great right brains.
How is that wackiness factored into your journey through Namco?
Because you're more the gamer.
I've been in the entertainment business my whole career, effectively. So while I was going to college way back in ancient times, which you guys are young enough that it was a long time ago, I was playing games, when I was in high school in the late 70s, and I was going to college in the, early 80s, and when games really kind of exploded. I got a job because I loved playing games, but I was going to school studying engineering. And so I got a job in an arcade, which is like, oh my God, this is like the best job in the world. And it probably is the best job I ever had.
Because you get to play games and get paid for it.
1981, I had the key to the games. 1981 is when video games exploded in America. It became a pop culture phenomenon. And I worked in a mall arcade, as a part-time employee while I was going to college. Before that, I was working for a fast food place and cleaning out fryers. It was terrible. So I had like the world's best job, and I got paid above minimum wage, so it made it perfect. And I fell in love with games. I just literally fell in love with it. I actually changed my major because of it. I was studying aerospace engineering, decided I wanted to design games, changed to electrical engineering. When I finished school, my boss at the time talked me into going into management and staying with the company. That was a small privately held company. We were very successful. We were purchased in 1987 by Atari Games Corporation because they wanted to get back in operations. Atari Games was owned by Namco at that time. The Namco in Japan was a dominant shareholder, and they moved me to California to work at Atari Games. I spent 3 years out there at Atari Games. We separated from Atari in 1990, and I became a Namco employee. I've had a Namco logo on my business card since 1990.
Oh, wow.
And I just have done lots of different things on the all game-related side of the business over the years. So I'm the proverbial part-timer that kind of grew up and got my dream job. I was in the right place at the right time and just lucky and smart enough to take advantage of what I saw.
I don't think you could pick anybody who doesn't know that Atari joystick. It's just iconic.
It is. It's iconic. It is. It's an icon. It's kind of like Pac-Man. It's an icon. It's even if you don't play games, you know what it is when you see it. Yeah.
I think it's very special to create things like that, just that become so prevalent and so iconic. But it's hard. because there's so much noise out there today.
Well, there
it's
is.
hard to create icons anymore. The way icons were created then.
And the best icons were
so much
accidents.
noise.
You know, you think about it. I mean, nobody set out to make an icon when they did Pac-Man.
Right.
No one thought they were making an icon when they did the Atari joystick. I mean, it just happened, which is really kind of looking back, the real fun part. It's just these things just kind of happen, and now they really are icons. But no one really thought that through at the time.
Right.
So it's fun. It's always been fun. It's been a really fun ride.
Particularly back in 2010 when we started talking about
this.
level 2 to 7, then we decided to use Pac-Man as our, the IP intellectual properties for level 2 to 7. Then I went back to Tokyo and explained, make a pitch. They said, why Pac-Man? Pac-Man is dead. But Pac-Man is not popular in Japan. But here in this country, it's a big icon. It's phenomenal. So it took 3.5 years to explain to them.
It was a tough sell. Yeah.
But the people in Tokyo realized that this is a big icon, and then the Sony Picture is going to the Pixel movie, and I've heard that Sony Pictures went to Bandai Namco in 2011, long time ago, 4 years ago, when we made a pitch, when we made a presentation to Tokyo, Sony Picture already talked to them. But a lot of people in Japan, they didn't think the Pac-Man is going to be bigger again. So, so we had maybe many years ahead of that.
I never heard the story about Pixels. I didn't know they pitched them at the same time. Maybe that helped us when we were having the conversations. Because
what is interesting about seeing this film, because we haven't seen it yet, and then talking to Professor Iwatani, Pac-Man has always been a very gentle, nice kind of character. He's never engaged in violence, and he's never been the bad guy.
Except in Super Smash Brothers.
Except in Super Smash Bros.
Which made me very happy.
But in Pixels, Pac-Man is a different kind of guy.
But the Pac-Man on Pixel, it didn't eat people, it didn't kill the people, it didn't hurt people. Did you know this? According to
Spoiler alert.
Pixels, I haven't seen it.
Well, Iwatani-san told me that he requested Sony Picture so that Pac-Man would not kill the people, Pac-Man would not hurt people, Pac-Man would not injure people.
well, I mean, all the best movies have great twists. So. So
I see where you're going with that.
I don't, and I haven't seen the movie either, so I don't know. It's just
we do know what happens when the professor meets Pac-Man in the movie. Which
was a riot.
That's in the trailer. We've seen it.
I couldn't wait when Iwatani-san came over for Pac-Man's 35th birthday, and we all knew around the world we wanted to set Level 227 as like Pac-Man's headquarters for his birthday. I was dying to watch the trailer sitting next to Iwatani-san. So that was like, I had to set that up. It's like, okay, we're going to watch the trailer because I really want to ask him how he felt when Pac-Man ate his hand. What's it like to see that? So he actually was a lot cooler about it than I thought he might be. It was like, he was very casual about it. It's like, it's just cool.
And also on that panel, that was a pretty cool moment where we discussed the true inspiration of Pac-Man, not the previously rumored inspiration that Billy and a number of people didn't know, and you learned something yourself that day.
We learned a lot that day. I mean, it was actually really interesting, some of the panels. I mean, the biggest shock to me, which I think was shock to a lot of people in America, Power pellets. Even our menu is messed up. So, and I went back. I told you guys earlier. I went back and started going through some of the historical stuff, the documentation we had for decades. We've been calling them power pellets for decades. I mean, going back forever. And it wasn't just us. It was the Bally Midway stuff. They were the original licensee, and in the U.S. And so it's been pellets forever. Iwatani-san said, "Well, I know you guys all call it that." Or he basically said, I know Bishop calls it that all the time, but it's really, they were cookies.
That's right.
They were meant to be cookies. So and everything was food related in the original game, and his original concept was power cookies. So it just doesn't work for our menu. I don't know what I'm going to do. That's our signature dessert. I can't figure out what to do now. So.
And when I first heard that on that panel, I heard it from his translator,
Yeah.
and I thought
Maybe she messed up the translation.
she messed up, and I'm like, what are these power cookies?
It was a bit of a shocker for me too. We were all very surprised with that one. That was our aha moment. I've never had that conversation before.
And we had another aha moment when we were talking about some pizza.
Yeah.
The pizza, yeah. There have always been lots of stories that evolved over the years about the inspiration for Pac-Man, the inspiration for the game. There's, the lore and the legacy of one day Iwatani-san eating pizza and looking down with one slice missing, and oh my God, that's my inspiration for the next game. And I'm still not sure that we all know 100% exactly how the process flowed, but he did confirm that seeing the pizza with the missing slice actually was an inspiration for the character at the very least, and how things progressed. So interesting. I think we learned some really cool stuff those 2 days, and we learned a number of things. And I had met Iwatani-san in the early '90s when I first joined Namco. But I didn't get a chance to have an extended conversation with him because he was actually doing administrative work at Namco before he retired. And so this is the first time I've actually had a chance to sit down and talk to him about game design. So it was fun. That was fun. It was a fun event. You should have been there, Cole. It was.
I really wish I could have been there.
It was a great event.
I did get to see a lot of the video, fortunately, but yeah, I'm really bummed that I missed that. Now you guys are talking about how
once in a lifetime opportunity.
Well, maybe I'll be there for the 40th birthday.
The 40th. So we're starting to. Listen,
by.
with what we learned from the 35th, it's going to take us 5 years to plan the 40th. It's like, okay, we learned
Well, even so, it looked like you guys had a lot of great content. I saw you announced Pac-Man 256, which I'm really excited for. I can't wait to pick that up. It seems like the perfect environment for a Pac-Man game in this day and age is a mobile phone.
Yeah.
Can you guys speak a little bit to that, or do you know any about that decision?
We're not really involved in a lot of those decisions. But obviously, mobile game development's a big deal for any developer out there today,
right.
And I think you're going to continue to see that become a larger and larger component. I play. My iPad's full of some great RPGs. I love playing games on the iPad because it's convenient if I'm not at home.
Right.
But if I'm at home, I'm still going to opt for my Xbox or my PlayStation.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
So I'm still going for the console. Or if I'm here, then I'm going to go for the classic games and hang with the old cabinets. But there's definitely a place for mobile games. Absolutely.
What are you playing right now on your Xbox One?
Okay, so I love RPGs. I spent a lot of. I used to play real-time strategy. I did a lot of in the years ago. I was playing mostly strategy, and then I went to a whole World of Warcraft phase, and we had. That was a time suck. I
was an EverQuest 2 guy.
Wait, you also got
Evercrack, same way. Yeah. So we actually had. It was so bad at one point on Warcraft. We actually had a Namco guild on Wildhammer on the Wildhammer server, and it was like there must have been about 30 of us from Namco playing all together in our own guild, and we had some other guys that joined us from around the world. We had a guy from Australia that was playing with us, and we had guys picking out. It was just fun. It was a beautiful social experience, and, which I think people have for decades misunderstood gaming. Even back in the early '80s, it was if you weren't a gamer, if you were an adult, and you were looking at it like, oh, this is antisocial activity, or game playing is very solitary. It was never solitary. Game playing has been social from the very beginning, and if you weren't there to see it, you didn't understand. Everyone thought it was something. It was man against machine. Yeah, it was, but it wasn't. It was really man against machine, but how can you do it versus how well do I do it? And it was a chance for me to show off. I went to the arcade to socialize with my friends.
He's about to call me out on something.
This is a debate that we have a lot, because when we talk about games and what are our top 5 and what games are you playing, what do I like, I always say I'm a multiplayer guy. I like playing with my friends. He likes playing with himself. And he's always more of a solo play a game.
I play games for narrative.
Well, I do too.
And I play games with my friends.
So, but both can be okay. Both are good, and I think both are very the same. So right now, I'm playing Dragon Age Inquisition. I love the Dragon Age series. So I love RPG. I love Bethesda's games. I've gone through all all the Elder Scrolls stuff. I love Elder Scrolls. Wide open environment. It's a very difficult game for me to play because I'm really obsessive about picking up everything I find, and so I spend half my life on inventory management. It's really tough to play. So I'm playing. I also like BioWare games because they're streamlined, a little bit more of a rail. Inquisition's really interesting. I don't know if you guys have played Dragon Age. I love the Dragon Age. I love the story on the Dragon Age games. The first Dragon Age was a fabulous story. The second one with the whole Kirkwall thing, it was good. It was solid. Inquisition, though, is like a hybrid between a BioWare game and a Bethesda game. So you've got much more broadly open environment to work with, and I don't feel like I'm as much on a rail. So I'm really digging Inquisition. I went through about opening this location. We were so busy. I went through about 3 or 4 months. I did not play a game at all. I didn't have time, and it was really kind of. And I've only started playing games again probably within the last 2 weeks. I've been able to say, okay, it's the weekend. I'm going to take 6 hours and play a little bit. And I just fired up Inquisition a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, and that's part of the problem I see when I'm playing single player games is I'm a game reviewer, but I also have to be writing about them and doing podcasts and stuff. So it's like, wait, I need to find time to play if I'm going to be writing about these games. So, at some points I'll just invite some friends over and say, let's play some Mario Kart because you need that social experience.
It is.
And it's really the perfect way to bring somebody together like that.
But even something like Inquisition, I almost feel like it's fake social, but it's social because I'm building a relationship with the other characters.
Right, exactly.
I'm figuring out, who I'm going to have, who I'm going to like, who I'm going to dislike, who I want out of my party. And so, who I'm going to have a relationship with. It's kind of this weird kind of really computer dynamic, where I'm having a social experience. To me, it's almost just two sides of the same coin. But I've always felt like games were social. Even in the very beginning, it was an extremely social experience, and I always had a laugh. Back in the 90s, when video violence was a big theme, and people were complaining about what games do to people. It's like you're not getting it. It's a social experience. Even if you're sitting at home playing Warcraft by yourself, I had my headset on, and I wasn't playing by myself. I was playing with a bunch of people, and it was incredibly social. I really believe to this day it's a very social experience. And if you don't play games, you don't understand it.
I think there's a kind of a new gap in the market because I come from the MMORPG mode of playing EverQuest 2, and I got Dragon Age Inquisition a few months ago, and I started playing with my friend Pat, who I played EverQuest with, who I actually met in EverQuest.
Yeah.
He's one of my best friends, and I met him in the game, in real life.
I still got some great friends that I played Warcraft with.
And we played this game because we keep trying to find a new EverQuest, and there's nothing. There's nothing out. And that game, Dragon Age, is basically a single-player game that added a multiplayer. It's a single-player game that has a multiplayer story, but it's more of a single-player game.
So it's right up my alley.
And we keep looking for new games like World of Warcraft and EverQuest, and people aren't making those anymore.
It's really tough to make. For every one that succeeded, there were 100 that didn't. So it's a massive risk. And you guys know, the consumer game business is brutal. It's a bloodbath. And we do the same thing. We keep trying to emulate the vanilla WoW. Because when World of Warcraft was the original World of Warcraft, it was amazing. And when you got your mount, it was a big deal. It took me forever. I had to get to level 40. It was an amazing experience. Leveling up my warlock or getting my mount.
You had to earn it.
You had to earn it.
Yeah.
Today, I understand what's happened. You gotta if you want to appeal to a larger audience, you've got to kind of, I don't want to say dumb it down, but you got to make it more approachable, and it's just not the same experience. We keep going out there looking for games that we can replicate that original experience we had with Warcraft, because it was an amazing experience. The original Warcraft to me was awesome. I'm sure EverQuest. I never played EverQuest. I had it. I couldn't make myself fired up because I heard so many stories about EverQuest. I couldn't make myself do it. Yeah. And then somebody that works for the company got me suckered into Warcraft, and when they did it, I was done. It was over. I was playing it all the time.
The only game for me that took so much of my time since EverQuest was Diablo 3, and I played it for a year, and I put a lot of time into it with the same friend, and earned it. It was a grind, and I kept playing it, but after playing it for a year, I got in the game one time, and all these just kind of random people I didn't know joined my game, and someone hacked it and cheated, and he basically gave me an item in the game that that made all of my work of everything that I earned for the past year without cheating. I didn't even know you could cheat.
Yeah.
It gave me something that made me unlimited everything. And I'm like, this is stupid. And I never played the game again.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's part of the struggle with games these days is you have to please so many different audiences. You know, somebody who makes a game to please Adam, who looks for that grind, is not going to make a game that pleases me, who's looking for something like The Last of Us,
Right.
where I get that narrative experience.
Oh, what a great game.
Yeah. And I mean, it's just phenomenal. I can't stop thinking about it, even though I played it 2 years ago. So, I'm curious. Even outside the realm of video games, what's next in that narrative for Namco? And if you guys say Dig Dug Restaurant, I will freak out right now because oh man, that'd be so exciting. But I don't think that's what you're gonna say.
Well, as far as my
You just gave him an idea.
business is concerned,
I'll help. I'm in.
we need to, this level 7, number 1, the first video needs to be very successful.
Right.
So that we can build second, third, and fourth, or dig down, whatever.
I'm in.
Whatever, this is so important.
Pole position.
This first allocation is so important. So we need to focus on first, then we go on.
It's good because a lot of businesses kind of overextend themselves. They'll say, let's make 10 of them before they made one of them that works.
Yeah, I've been approached over the years by some people who say, I got this great idea, and we're going to build 50 of them in the U.S. We're going to do this. And we said, you know what? We think we can build more than one. The intention is to build more than one, but we're not going to build the second one until we know we got the model right on the first one. Mm-hmm. And some of the stuff is working better than expected here. It's been amazingly great. And then some stuff crashed and burned the first weekend. And so we've learned some really hard lessons. And we're going back now. The summer is all about tweaking the model and saying, okay, this didn't work. It was a great theory, great idea.
Sometimes they go sketch you.
Yeah, sometimes, and you go back up and try it again. I mean, and that's really what it's all about right now. But I feel really good about the direction, but we learned some hard lessons. We had all these theories about how bowling works, how games should work, how the food should work. And the stuff that's working is doing great, but we have learned some hard lessons the hard way. We got a few surprises.
Can I give you one of those things?
What? Sure.
So I was bowling. I almost lost my fingers on that ball return.
That seems like it's a you problem.
No, it's not. The ball return is dangerous.
In what way?
Did you put your hand in it?
Anyone could.
Well,
like the ball comes up the thing and
the cradle, the rocker that slows it down.
Yeah.
I think that's just him being in. I'm sure it went through all the proper safety.
Well,
I saw little kids playing it too.
So in fairness, I mean that is a custom design that we did. That was one of our custom design things, and that was built for us by guys that really know bowling. But it was it's basically we did a whole above ground ball return. But yeah, well, after we get through, let's go out and look. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Yeah.
No, you can smash your finger.
All right. Well, Adam's injury aside, I want to wrap up with one quick question.
Yeah.
So somebody's coming here for the first time. What should they order?
What they should order? It depends.
Obviously, they should get a play card and try out some of the games, I would assume.
You can't come here without doing that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if they're looking for a good hearty meal.
Food and drink?
Yeah.
Well, everything's good here.
It is. I mean, okay.
You're supposed to say that.
All right, so the deal is, I'll tell you, for an appetizer, we have some great appetizers. Almost every one of our appetizers I love. Tiki Ramaki, if you haven't had it, is fabulous. It's probably our #1 appetizer, and I haven't had anyone tell me they don't like it. It's fabulous. Pepper jack cheese, chocolate pepper jack, wrapped in beef tenderloin, wrapped in bacon.
Oh, wow.
Fried, brought back out with a jalapeno pineapple glaze put on top of it. We make everything fresh here, chef driven, nothing's frozen, it all comes in fresh. We make everything from scratch. It's a scratch kitchen. So it's fabulous food, and that's a great appetizer. For entrees, it just depends on what you like. We have some great pizzas. My favorite is the penne carbonara, which is a fabulous pasta, again, all made from scratch. The short rib pappardelle, another great pasta with this beautiful piece of short rib on top, really rich. I mean, you gotta like food because it is a rich experience. And then for desserts, I will say, I have to give it credit to, we have a great kale salad. I don't like kale. It's tough and not the most tasteful thing in the world, but our guys have done a great job of adding these curried cashews to it and oranges and this sauce on it that really makes it palatable. I love our kale salad. I won't eat it anywhere else. Desserts, power pellets.
Breaks your heart to say that.
I know. It's like I can't because they're beautiful. They're like little beignets, little donuts stuffed with. We hand make our own truffles. Shove them inside the dough, fry it. That melts inside. So you got this beautiful little pellet that's going to explode in your mouth.
And I got some dessert here that had Nutella.
Our Subway is sounding like a mistake.
Yeah.
On the way here is what I'm
The
feeling
Nutella cup is awesome. I will have to say, so that's one of our things that we have on the menu that is naturally gluten-free. But we can do almost everything on the menu gluten-free. We have gluten-free pastas and gluten-free doughs. But the Nutella cup, the guys take Nutella, whip it into a mousse, put it in a dark chocolate shell that we make ourselves. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, the filet mignon, filet mignon steak is good too. It's got the potato. It looks like Donkey Kong.
Oh wow!
That's what's a Donkey Kong. We call it the barrel potato. It looks like a barrel.
That's excellent.
we call it
DK potato. The DK potato.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to probably grab some food after we're done here. I want to thank you guys so much for having us here. We've really enjoyed talking with you, and we hope everybody comes to check out Level 257. Once again, David Bishop and TJ, Hitoshi Yoshida. We really appreciate it, and this has been another episode of Press Start at HollywoodChicago.com.